All right, Al, we'll start with roll call.
Sarda. Here. Purdy.
Here.
Gross. Here. Johnson. Knopf. Here. Eibom.
Here.
Minor.
Here.
Mosier.
Here.
City Manager Nelson.
Here.
City Attorney Denherter.
Here. All right, some of you may have noticed I'm not Mayor Jake Hoffner. The Honorable Mayor is actually taking part in the Fireball Run, and if you've been keeping up with his video updates every day, he seems to be having a very good time. So we hope that continues and can't wait till they arrive in Yankton. With that, does anyone want to make a motion about the minutes from the regular meeting of September 11th, 2017?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Very good, thank you very much. Now we have a proclamation for National Disabilities Employment Awareness Month. And is there someone here for that? Okay. Let's read it from the podium here. Now is it on? There we go. All right, Disability Employment Awareness Month. Whereas Public Law 176 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States designating October as National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and whereas the 2017 theme is Inclusion Drives Innovation, and whereas employment rates for persons with disabilities have historically been the lowest of any minority in the nation, indicating a national resource that is virtually untapped, and whereas October 10th, 2017 will be designated as Disability Awareness Day in Yankton to honor the Employer of the Year and the Employee of the Year, and to applaud all employers and employees who support the employment of individuals with disabilities. Now, therefore, I, Jake Hoffner, but Nathan Johnson for tonight, Mayor of Yankton, along with the Yankton City Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2017 as Disability Employment Awareness Month in Yankton, South Dakota. I call upon the residents of this great city to join me in promoting awareness for those most motivated employees. Did you have anything you wanted to say? We should ask before you leave. Okay, thank you. And with that, we'll do the city manager's report.
Honorable Mayor and members of the Commission, just two quick things. On your consent agenda tonight, you have a reminder of the Dive in Yankton presentation that will be occurring tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. in the Yankton Middle School auditorium. The Dive in Yankton committee will be presenting some design concepts for the aquatic center, and they'll be looking for feedback from you and from the public as well. What they're trying to do is to get to one design concept that they'll ultimately be bringing forward for your consideration. So everyone's welcome and wanted to attend that presentation. Also, as a reminder, and asking our friends with the media to help us out, Saturday, October 14th is our household hazardous waste event. The cost for that is $10 per vehicle. Household hazardous waste can be brought between the hours of 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. at the transfer station. There is a list of the products that we accept on the website, and we encourage folks to participate there. Unless there's questions for me, I'll let you get to your business. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Amy? All right. Next, we move on to public appearances, when anyone in the audience who has something that is not on the agenda can come to the podium and speak to the commission, and that goes for commissioners as well.
I'd like to take some time if I could. unless anybody else from the public has anything they want to say. So I want to talk just really briefly about an agenda item from our last commission meeting that pertained to the closure of the Meridian Pedestrian Bridge. I'd been approached by just a handful of members of the public, not all of them citizens of Yankton, but it was pretty consistent, telling me thank you for voting against city leadership, and it's a shame how they let things spiral out of control. So I corrected those individuals, and I'd like to take the opportunity to explain a little bit as to why I voted the way that I did. It is not because I am in any way concerned with city leadership, for one. Also because the chamber plays a role in this, and they were the ones who signed a contract. I wasn't voting the way that I did because I was concerned for the chamber, because apparently the contract that they had signed even included some language about financial liability over potential changes to the production. I voted the way that I did because I have full faith in the CVB director, in her insight and her knowledge when it came to the event surrounding Fireball Run. So I also wanted to provide a little bit more context, because I was part of the original conversations that were had when we were brainstorming about different events and activities to entice the producers to come to Yankton last year. And I remember city manager over here, Bruce Cole over here, Bruce throwing out an idea, hey, let's have the contestants in this production shoot bows and arrows at targets in the Missouri River. Good idea, bad idea. I remember hearing in that crowd of people, interesting idea. That's something that's going to have to go in front of the city commission. I can tell you what the city commission has done in the past related to items that are similar to what we're talking about, but ultimately that's going to be something that's going to be in front of the city commission to decide. And I bring that up because it seems like these last few weeks there have been efforts to attribute fault to city leadership to the way that this has played out. I can tell you that in my experience now, I have heard that response so many times that it kind of makes me nauseous. It's like, city manager, can't you just make a decision in between this city commission meeting and this city commission meeting? And what I hear back essentially is, no, that's what you get paid net $399 a month for, is you make those tough decisions as a commission. So I don't find fault in city leadership with how this has played out. I also don't find fault with the way that this played out with the city commission, because that's part of our function here. We make tough decisions. If anybody wants to find fault with the way that this has played out with this production, I tell you, find fault with the leadership with the chamber. They're the ones who signed the contract, and I'm serious about this. They're the ones who signed the contract, and I would think that as an entity who probably puts more items on our agenda than any other entity, they should have known better. This was an agenda item that should have been known is going to require city commission approval. And that says something. As a commissioner, I can tell you that if I had been asked before our previous commission meeting, hey, which way do you think these other commissioners are going to vote on this agenda item, I probably would have told you, well, I don't know, but my instinct is that Commissioner Fertig and Commissioner Mosier probably won't vote because they're also members of the chamber board and they're city commissioners, so pretty sure they're going to abstain. They voted with me. I welcome their vote, but I would have been wrong. So I, as a commissioner, can't even predict who is going to be voting or which way they're going to predict, or which way the city commission itself is going to vote on these issues. So I bring that up simply because it's unfortunate to know that city leadership seems to have been the fall guy in this situation. I am really surprised that chamber leadership hasn't raised their hand to say, no, it's on us. It really is on us. We should have known better. We were in over our heads. We got too far ahead of this. I want this to be successful for the city of Yankton. I want the chamber to be a successful entity here. And I want city leadership and city commission to have the respect that they deserve. We are going to disagree. I disagree often and openly with city leadership. That's going to happen, but they are, in my opinion, doing an awesome job, and they are the right people to have on our bus. the editorial that was written in the P&D, wanting to know for sure that this is an opportunity that if we ever see anything like this again, that it's not going to be an opportunity lost. What are we going to do different to pretend to make sure that these opportunities aren't lost again in the future? I can give you a solution, and it's this. We've talked about it before, and I have made a public proposal of it. We need to bring the marketing function in-house. What do you get out of that? You get the city leadership having a regular meeting with the community marketing manager, just like any other district head. You get the city attorney who's going to be reviewing contracts and making sure that the nitty-gritty fine details are in the city's favor. You're also going to get something that right now we're missing out on as a city commission, and that is the ability to have executive sessions related to marketing. Right now, we are at a disadvantage as a city because we cannot, in opportunities like we're dealing with here this week, we cannot have executive sessions related to that specific marketing opportunity because the CVB through the chamber is an external third-party entity. If the marketing function were to be brought in-house, we would have the opportunity as a commission to provide added insight as part of executive sessions for future marketing opportunities. If you want a solution, that's one that I would strongly consider. And with that in mind, bringing the marketing function in-house would not only save the city money, it would save future opportunities.
Thank you, Commissioner Maibaum. Does anyone else have anything they would like to bring forward before the commission at this time? All right. We will go to the consent agenda. Number one, we have a transit merchant license and special events dance license for the Lewis and Clark Theater. And those are for the transient merchant license is for October 14th, as is the special events dance license. What is your pleasure? Or, excuse me, we will go to item number 2 under the consent agenda 2, which is a possible quorum event. And that is, as mentioned earlier, tomorrow's Dive in Yankton presentation at the middle school. So what is your pleasure?
I move the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you very much. We have no old business tonight, so we will go to new business. And number 1 is consideration of memorandum 17-208 regarding a plat at 2011 Alumax Road. Yankton Area Progressive Growth is the owner. What is your pleasure?
I move the memorandum. Second.
Does the commission have any questions about this item? Does the public have anything they would like to address? All right, Al, roll call.
Purdy.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Maibaum.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye. All right, number 2. Planning Commission recommendation regarding, and this is memorandum 17-209, for a plat located west of Phase 1 of Westbrook Estates. Bob Law is the owner. Does the commission have any questions about this item?
Move the memorandum. Second.
And with that, are there any questions?
We did a TIF on this, and it's bigger than the plat, right? Doesn't that go?
That's
further
correct.
south?
Yep, it goes all the way south to 23rd Street and includes 23rd Street right away, all the way back east to West City Limits Road. This is all Phase 2 of Westbrook Estates. The tax increment district number 8 that was associated with it was larger because there will be another phase that goes between this location and 23rd Street within that 20-year window.
But even with this plat, there was that hope of developing 23rd Street out with some of the it'll be some of the units within this plat. right?
Correct.
Or some of the lots. So that could still happen even before we do a plat on the other portion.
It will happen before that, yeah. What you'll see is within the next month or two, this is what's generally called a gross boundary plat. It's created with enough engineering information that we know it's not going to cause any issues associated with infrastructure improvements or stormwater improvements, but it's created to facilitate a property transfer and knowing that there's going to be a follow-up detailed subdivision plat that includes all the individual lots within this area. We'll see that within a couple months. That'll have a subdividers agreement and everything associated with it. The tax increment district, the process that you're providing, identified the north 20 lots in this area as creating the increment that the city was going to use for 23rd Street. These are all kind of overlays on top of each other, but they're all in effect simultaneously.
Are there any other questions? Does anyone in the public have a question about this item? All right, Al, roll call.
Mybom,
Aye.
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 Fertig.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye. All right, number 3 under old business, a planning commission recommendation regarding a plat, and this is again memorandum 17-210 for property on the north side of 29th Street at the intersection of Preakness Avenue. Kirby Hofer Construction Company, Inc. is the owner. What is your pleasure?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions on the commission? Does the public have any questions? All right, roll call.
Aye.
Mybom,
Abstain.
Aye.
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 Gross.
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye. Number 4 under old business, again, a planning commission recommendation for a plat review. This is memorandum 17-211, and this is for property located between 1400 and 1418 Green Street. TCDC Enterprises LLC is the owner. What is your pleasure?
I move the memorandum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do any commissioners have questions about this item? Do any members of the public have questions? Roll call.
Mybom,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Moser,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Fertig.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye. Number 5 under old business is consideration of memorandum 17-207. And this is a resolution authorizing an archery range at Yankton Riverside Park for the Manufacturing Olympics. What is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions about this item amongst the commissioners? Do any members of the public have questions? All right, roll call.
Minor,
Aye.
Moser,
Abstain.
Sarda,
Aye.
Fertig.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom,
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Number 6, under old business, a change order and final closeout of the 25th Street project. This is memorandum 17-214. What is your pleasure?
I move the memorandum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Does the commission have any questions? Does the public have any questions? All right, roll call.
Aye.
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 Gross.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Number 7 under old business is an agreement with the Yankton Rodeo Association to locate their rodeo grounds on property behind the Yankton Area Chamber of Commerce building on city-owned property. what is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions among the commissioners?
I've got a question for Ross. I don't know if you know the answer, but under Section 5 insurance, there's $1 million policy, and the city has to be covered for liability purposes along with the Rodeo Association. Is there, can we make sure that, there's where they have to give notice if there's any change in coverage, that you can be involved in that insurance process, so we're automatically just notified by the insurance company?
It's not baked into the language right now, but we can certainly set it up with their provider to do that. That's a very common clause that's typically in these types of agreements.
Right. I just want, hopefully the Rodeo Association's going forever, but sometimes leadership changes, a premium doesn't get paid, and there's no coverage. And just to make sure that, we know we're given notice too.
I'll reach out directly to their insurer when we get their certificate.
Are there any other questions? Go ahead.
He's going to turn on your mic here quick.
And anyway, how much traffic are going to have? They're going to rebuild the road around it so we can in and out traffic to the rodeo site, because it accompanies a lot of traffic.
Adam, do you want to talk about how they'll access the site for Mr. Gleich?
So for maintenance and just general site visits, they'll utilize the road that's currently there, and that road will be maintained.
But it will be adequate when you talk about more than 3 vehicles, compared to maybe a couple dozen, and parking for it.
When they have major events, they'll make their way across the grass area. It'll be mowed, and they can utilize the grass area to drive to the parking area.
But will it be adequate come? And when is it going to take? Next Riverboat Day or 2 Riverboat Day from now for that incident?
I believe it'll be adequate.
Thank you.
Doug, did you have anything you'd like to say?
Just thank you very much for, excuse me. I'd like to thank you very much for the consideration, giving us the opportunity to move our event to down there behind the chamber. It'll be a great home for us. Anybody interested in seeing some photos of our past event?
Well, Doug, thank you for all the work you've put into this event every year, and
Pictures of each side.
I know you've probably visited with most or all of us multiple times in your efforts to find a home, so we're glad this is something we can consider tonight.
Yeah, I'd like you to see. It's a heck of a draw. It's
Doug, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the level of service you've received?
11.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, does the public have any other questions before we proceed? All right, with that, Al, will you please take roll call?
Sarda.
Aye.
Burdick.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, the motion passes. We hope you enjoy your new home. All right, number 8, under old business, recommendation from the Health Insurance Committee for group health insurance and dental insurance. This is memorandum 17-199. Amy, did you want to introduce this
topic?
Sure. Honorable Mayor, members of the Commission, as you know, we have a health insurance committee that's comprised of 3 employees who are not represented by the collective bargaining unit. They are Ann Clough, who's the Deputy Finance Officer, Jeff Johnson from our Police Department, Taylor Peters from Information Services, as well as 3 members who are represented from our collective bargaining unit, Jim Arns from Engineering, Mike Van Winkle from the Parks Department, and Mary Robb from the Street Department. I also appoint a non-voting person to head the committee, and that was Sue Hansen. So they did get recommendations, quotes from a number of providers, and knowing that the directive was that we were looking for something cost neutral in regards to what our current plan is, or at a lower rate for the city, they looked at variations of a number of plans, and I think they had about 10 or 11 variations, including looking at various deductibles, looking at different co-pays, looking at different drug card options, looking at different types of coverage, and they really did a lot of work this year. They did not get quotes from Sanford. They only received quotes from Avera and our current provider, which is Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. As you know, the Avera provider came back with a rate that was approximately 12.10% rate decrease from what we currently have, which equates to about $187,000 annually for the city of savings. That health plan is structured very much similar to ours currently with Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's not apples to apples. Their network is a bit different. However, the plan structure was roughly the same. Co-pays the same, deductible the same, did not include a city employee contribution for single coverage, and actually has a couple benefits that we currently don't have with Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. A telemedicine benefit where people can get a doctor or nurse practitioner on demand on their smartphone and can actually get prescriptions and consult with healthcare professionals as opposed to going into the clinic. And their drug card was a little bit better than ours is currently. The Wellmark plan came back at a 4% increase, and I do want to mention that that's a really good rate increase given what we're seeing nationally in healthcare right now. It says our employees are healthy. We're taking good care of ourselves. We're not overusing the benefit, and that speaks to, I think, the kind of group that we are. So the Health Insurance Committee talked about all these options, discussed with employees, and they came back with a unanimous recommendation that we, in fact, consider the Avera plan and change our providers then to the Avera plan with that 12.1% rate decrease. Since that time, I have discussed that with the collective bargaining unit and negotiated that. The stewards of the collective bargaining unit agreed that that was the way we should go, and we had a tentative agreement there. They took that to their membership last Tuesday, and their membership of the collective bargaining unit, voted to decline that recommendation. Those members would like to stay with the current health provider and current plan. So fast forward now from Tuesday to this afternoon, I've heard from a number of employees, some represented, some not, who are supportive of moving to the Avera health plan, and they asked that I communicate that with you. This evening, Ross can talk to you a little bit about your options, but because any change to our health care plan does need to be negotiated, I think you can do a couple of things. My recommendation is that I would go along, concur with the Health Insurance Committee that represents the entire employee population and say that we should move to the Avera healthcare plan and negotiate that through the collective bargaining unit. Your options, I believe, are to direct that you indicate that you would like to make a change and send it back to negotiations and direct us to negotiate it, or you can approve the current plan at the current rate, going against what the Health Insurance Committee has recommended here. So I'll let you ask questions of Ross regarding process, or if you have questions about the details of the plan, or any information in regard to the internal process between all the recommendations and committees and votes that have taken place, I'm happy to answer those as well.
All right. Do we have a motion, or are there questions?
I'll make a motion to move to the Avera recommended plan from the Health Committee.
Second.
And the dental one that follows.
Second.
I'm going to clarify, that is a motion to send it to negotiations, correct?
Correct, but the commission accepting to send it to negotiation.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Does the commission have any other questions? Are there any questions among the public attendees here tonight? All right, with that, we will take roll call.
Aye.
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 Mybom,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Moser,
Abstain.
Sarda,
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
I'm an employee of Avera Health, so I'm going to abstain. And with that, the motion passes. And that exhausts our regular session business for this evening. Can I get a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss personnel, contractual, and litigation matters? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you.